Like I said, good morning. Welcome to UBC. It is great to see so many people here in person together. It's been a long time, and it's great to see so many colleagues, so many of our industry and government partners here today. I wanted to just, before I begin, thank Orlando for inviting me here to say a few words, and I just wanted to congratulate Kelly and the entire team for putting on such a wonderful event today. For those who don't know me, my name is James Olson. I am the Dean of the Faculty of Applied Science here at UBC. I'm a professor in mechanical engineering and a long-time researcher, supporter, advocate for the forest bioproduct sector. Before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that we're standing here today on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. I'm incredibly proud of the Bioproducts Institute and where it is today. There is no doubt in my mind that UBC is Canada's national leading forest innovation, education, and research university in Canada. Under Orlando's leadership, the Institute has really gone from strength to strength. We have recruited and continue to recruit the absolute best faculty, staff, and students in the world to work on some of the most challenging problems. We have built globally leading laboratories with state-of-the-art equipment and facilities. We are creating the next generation of industry and academic leaders, and we're publishing leading-edge science. But more than that, we are creating the products and the ventures that are creating real jobs here in British Columbia. As an institution, we've made these investments because we know, or made these investments into the Bioproducts Institute because we know that the transformation to the bioeconomy is inevitable. And it will be driven by policy related to climate change. I can imagine a future where BC is leading that transformation to a circular bioeconomy. Really the technical revolution for the entire world. And I've often said that it would become the Silicon Valley for the forest forest-based bioproducts, and I've often used the term Cellulose Valley to describe that potential future. But I've done that 10 years ago. And we're much closer than we were when I first started to use that phrase. But we're still far from where we need to be. I believe it's because we lack the deep partnerships that result in a closely networked ecosystem to support innovation, to make real change here in BC. I would also say that time is running short. The climate crisis that we know is going to drive the transformation into a circular bioeconomy is only accelerating. I don't know if many of you were paying close attention to COP27 in Egypt over the last few weeks, but one of the things that caught my attention was a delegation of SIDS, small island developing, what is SIDS? Small island developing states. And there was a delegation of these small island developing states that had banded together and were using the phrase, we are on the front line of climate change. And I don't disagree with that statement, absolutely. You know, the sea level rise and increasingly intense hurricanes that resulted in devastation on these small island developing states certainly says that they're on the front line of climate change. But I would also put that, in fact, BC is on the front line of climate change. And if we look back just a year ago, I think almost exactly a year ago, we would have seen what was we would call a 1 in 1,000 year rain event. More than a month of rain fell on British Columbia in a single day. If you remember, it took out highways 1, 3, 5, 8 CN rail line, CP rail line, isolated Canada from its western ports. It killed 5 people. It caused 15,000 people to be displaced from their homes. It killed 600,000 animals and was Canada's costliest weather disaster. 4 months prior to that, you would remember a heat dome that went through central British Columbia. When engineers often talk about a 1 in a 100-year event or 1 in a 1,000-year event. The 49.6 degree weather that went through, centered on Lytton, was statistically impossible. It was 4 degrees hotter than previously recorded anywhere in Canada. It resulted in 700 people's death. It was Canada's deadliest weather disaster. Those 2 disasters happened less than 6 months apart. The heat dome resulted in British Columbia's 3rd worst fire season. 3,600 buildings were destroyed. 1.1 million hectares of forest were destroyed, and it was the 3rd worst fire season. The worst fire season was 2017 with 1.3 million hectares. The 2nd worst fire season was 2018 with 1.2 million hectares. So 3 of the worst fire seasons in British Columbia's history were in the last 5 years. So I think what we need to do is recognize that BC is on the front lines of climate change. And as a province on the front line, I think that should motivate all of us to act with urgency to accelerate that transformation to the circular bioeconomy. And I would put it as a challenge to the leaders in industry, academia, First Nations, provincial and federal governments to partner deeply to build that world-class forest innovation ecosystem right here in British Columbia so that we can realize our opportunity to lead, not just for the benefit of the world, but for the real economic benefit for British Columbians and prosperity here in this province. And so I want to just leave you with that thought, or maybe that collection of thoughts. And thank you again, Orlando, for the opportunity to be here. I look forward to learning more about the Bioproducts Institute, and I wish everybody an incredibly productive day. And so I will turn it over to Orlando. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful.